You're here for a reason. You have a story to tell, tell it.
Can you tell me about the day that you were wounded?
July 23rd, 2003. Was assigned to the 82nd Airborne in downtown Baghdad. We encountered a white Jeep Cherokee. I'm in a military 5-ton transport vehicle. Had eye-to-eye contact, and it was not a good eye-to-eye contact. They jumped the medium strip and headed in my direction. Had kids playing on the right side. I had nowhere to go. Boom. We hit head on.
Sergeant Dwayne Frost, like thousands who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, was changed forever by war. His leg was badly injured in that collision. Army surgeons struggled to save it. You didn't know they were going to take your leg?
They had to make a decision. And
Sergeant Frost shared his story on a visit to a prototype for a new kind of military housing in Fort Belvoir, Virginia. It was designed by architect Michael Graves, especially for wounded war veterans. What kind of things would you want to have in a house that would make it just a more practical, comfortable way of living?
a walk-in shower. Everything on the same floor, so I wouldn't have to climb up and down the stairs.
Good design for me is not just the way something looks, but how it operates, the two together, the functionality and the looks.
So, if you see in this house, the windowsills are actually much lower than you would see in a typical home. Here they're at 18 inches above the floor.
The home's developer pointed out features that make life easier for injured vets. And the architect added touches of beauty, like his own original paintings, to help make this wheelchair-accessible house feel more like a home.
My wife would have a ball with this house. So much room and the setup. Very beautiful.
And how does architect Michael Graves know what a disabled vet needs? From personal experience, Graves is in a wheelchair himself.
Architecture is making the thing with lots of stories. It isn't just about light and just about just color or texture or whatever. It's writing a novel.
Michael Graves wasn't always in a wheelchair, and his career spans decades.
He was one of the best-known architectural names.
His work changed architecture and the way people think about cities.
Most people could name you one architect, living or dead, which is too bad because as a group, they're unusually interesting.
Michael Graves was a huge star.
Without question, the #1 architect in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
He was top dog.
His architecture is very attractive to people.
He was numero uno.
And Graves has designed thousands of household products.
He did that famous teapot for Alessi.
He's got an absolute knack.
He achieved this amazing success through Target.
Those are cozy objects. They're going to make for a happy kitchen or a happy experience.
I have Michael Graves studs for a dress shirt, for a dinner jacket. Little tiny Tuscan towns.
Michael has been rather successful in appealing to a broad range of taste cultures.
This house belongs to Michael Graves, one of America's leading architects.
It's an old warehouse in Princeton, New Jersey that Graves spent decades converting. His longtime friend, the author Fran Lebowitz, toured the warehouse for the BBC in 1992.
This is the second level of the rotunda. It's one of my favorite places in this house. You have this wonderful light, and I understand that Michael's dog was a puppy. He fell through here, so not being a dog lover, I think that would be another reason to have one of these in every house.
This film was made before Graves was in a wheelchair. The warehouse combines modern architecture with inspiration from the classical architecture of ancient Rome.
I've loved being here, and this house is, I guess, everything to me. It just makes me smile.
Just a few blocks away, Graves' firm is in a pair of old colonial houses joined by a common entrance. And so this is where we come in?
This is where we come in from the parking lot. We like it to be welcoming. We have a sense that our office is like a house. It has a domestic character to it.
Graves' architectural partner Karen Nichols showed me around.
The two houses were built at different times.
You've surrounded yourself with people who have stayed with you for 30 years.
35.
So we're in a different house now?
We are now in the 19th century house.
Oh yeah.
And this would have been the front entrance. Actually, we do use it as a front entrance. We used this room as Michael's conference room before he became paralyzed and moved to the other building.
The other building is just across the street. It's the home of the Michael Graves Design Group.
I'm on the product side of the street now, product design, because they have a ramp that I can get into the building.
Hello there. The young staff works on product design, ranging from toasters to teacups to medical equipment.
All right, so we talked about cappuccino cup set, espresso cup set, teacup set.
It's collaborative. It becomes a sharing of thought and concepts and ideas.
What about French press? We use as a French press.
And doing it for 28 years, I'm always enchanted in working with him.
Sounds like we need to make some coffee.
Yeah.
We fill the filter like ground coffee.
Hey, look at that.
Graves uses a room in the front as a painting studio.
If you see some of his drawings around, you see it's a person with a golden hand. He draws exquisitely.
Graves has been painting and drawing since he was a boy growing up in Indiana. Back then, he told anyone who cared to listen that he wanted to be an artist. But his mother was afraid he'd starve, so she steered him toward professions where he might make a living and still draw.
And I said, well, what would that be? And she said, engineering or architecture, as far as she knew. And I said, well, tell me what engineers do. And she did. And I said, well, then I'm going to be an architect.
Michael was a country boy from Indianapolis who went to Cincinnati, went to Harvard.
In those days, a Harvard education meant all modern architecture all the time.
You graduated from Harvard not knowing who Palladio was. I mean, it was tragic.
Graves knew that the work of the 16th century Italian architect Palladio and other classicists had inspired architects for centuries. So he applied for a fellowship to study in Rome.
Rome was very important for him, no question.
So he said basically that any great painting can be moved to wherever you are so that you might have the good luck to see it. And that any great musical piece can be played in your presence wherever you are. But that architecture can't be moved, and that therefore you have to go to Rome to experience.
And experience it he did. His drawings and photographs from that time offer a key to understanding his life's work.
I think to have Rome as a base is something that cannot be overvalued.
I did a lot of drawings, over 1,000 drawings in 2 years.
It's kind of like a deep well, and he keeps going back to it.
It's a very deep well.
Graves returned to the U.S. and took a teaching job at Princeton.
I had been to Rome, but it hadn't really sunk in yet.
His first houses after returning to the U.S. put him squarely in the center of a group of young, cutting-edge architects, the New York Five.
Well, the New York Five was a celebrated group that was barely a group.
We weren't a group.
They were particularly interested in abstraction.
They were also called the Whites because the houses they designed were mostly white.
European modernism is essentially what we represented.
The ways in which abstract geometric shapes could create architectural form.
White architecture, period. In those days, Michael was more of a modernist than Peter Eisenman. And I can remember with my then first wife, we were shopping for baby clothes in '66, and she said, I can't find anything that's all white without a teddy bear or a bird or something, and Michael will be really upset if it's not all white.
Your wife said this.
That's right.